I still think that they're going to be leaning towards the Assassins, but if they end up going for the Leomord, they're playing it safe. I mean, again, it worked out well for them yesterday. They can just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and in addition, you're just going to have to worry about the high loss if you are the Lancelot. So at some point...
No, Lancelot for Zyda, sir.
Yeah, Lancelot for Zyda. Okay.
Yeah, they have the high loss.
I'm completely missed out here, but yes.
It's okay, dude.
Harley right over there already. Zyda, you picking up the Lancelot would be great. No crowd control for AP Bren just yet, and I feel like that is what they have to build up on here. And the Kaja is going to be the potential threat to pull up that Lancelot, and them picking up the carry, obviously telegraphed by these two.
It's a Kaka combo either way.
Yeah. They get the burst, and now all the best remaining options for Zyda will have to dive, get close. If you want to make yourself scarce, I still think you lean towards the Lancelot. Just be smart of when you use the Phantom Execution. The Leomord would be a much more obvious target for the Kaja, that it might be too hard for Zyda. But let's see what Zyda's feeling. I think he gets final call here.
Now see, makes it more difficult now for Zyda. There used to be an easier out with the first 3 heroes that AP Bren picked up, but with a threat of having a Kaja, it means Chakno and Three-Mar would have to get their hands full again just so Zyda would have an easy life. So they will be going for a Yisun Shin, a double marksman setup for the TNC Pro team.
That's a rare sight in the current meta. Bruiser and, just back up. Back up. That's my jungler. Back up.
Yeah. It feels like because they do have the Heroth with them, they thought that the Uranus, they're probably thinking the Uranus is not going to be a bother, doesn't care about, or won't be able to bother the YSS anyway.
Is it enough?
Is it enough is the question.
Yeah, in addition to what happened with Three-Mar from yesterday, we kind of saw a bit of the Heroth falling off in the later portions of the game. Probably the reason why they picked up Zyda with his YSS, so they could still have a decent amount of damage come the late game. Lots of activity happening, but almost a death, but AP Bren is going to be escaping that.
Yeah.
TNC have asserted themselves. Massive skirmish win. They sent home 2 of AP Bren, and now they invade on James Bank's jungle. He's going to lose the small camp.
I'm going to say this now. I think that was on Nova and Aqua not handling the laning phase well for the first wave. They're up against Deeroth, who could join in very quickly. It's good that for AP, and which is why it's perplexing to me that they lost that first trade in the mid, and with that I'm talking about AP Bren.
And we don't have to worry about reaching level 4 because Scent was there to chop it all up. Resuming the game once again. I'm expecting both Benecutie and Shizu to not really have a bunch of activity at the top lane, but for TNC Pro Team, they were trying from the start to eliminate the battle spells from the 2 guys at the middle for AP Bren. It's just that for both Aqua and Nova, they were much more willing to actually risk the fact that the HP bars would be trimmed to down low instead of them losing the flickers.
A minute later, it's deja vu. They do it again. They bully out Nova and Aqua.
Maybe it's also just like a hero match.
Deadly Magic's on Lancy. No committal, so I guess TNC gets to walk away with that.
Yeah, fortunately for James Spanks, that is quite a very low cooldown on that ultimate, but for AP Bren, they're going to be transitioning towards the turtle objective, and same is going to be done by TNC, but they have a little bit more control on that river.
This has to be a free turtle. Aqua and Nova, just get out of there. You don't need to heavily commit this. Wait, what?
Glorious Pathway answered with a Mount Shocker. Kill VJ. Not much you can do in there. Free kill on the turtle for TNC, and AP Bren skedaddle on out of there.
There's finally the flicker coming out from Aqua. They're actually going to fight this.
VJ coming through. Deadly Magic's caught in the face by Three-Mar. The choke up catches Aqua. First blood drawn by the Phoenix Army.
Just incredible placement from Lancy, and there was the Phoenix Army to finish the job.
Did I see that right? Did Aqua dash in? Why? Well, what's going on right now for AP Bren? Still, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's still only 3 minutes in, but I've been seeing a fair good amount of shares of like questionable decisions that, again, as we mentioned, are just going to stock up. So for the 2 EXP laners, it seems like it's going to be a Radiant priority here for Three-Mar, while KLVJ does have the first component already into the Dominance Ice. He should full build that, shouldn't try to chop sway elsewhere. Nova goes in!
Oh, there's a pull! Divine Judgment on the Zyda! Aqua gets it! And I think the buff did go over to the Hive.
Yeah, James Banks.
Dude, that worked so well for AP Bren. I feel like that is what they need more of. They need to make those calculated decisions, trying to pick off where TNC is so that they can equalize or maybe even have a bit of a lead, because that's going to help them a lot in the early game.
Yeah, just as I said, they will pull the trigger and level 4 pick off. Wait.
They're coming in on the 3-mar. 3-mar answers back kindly. A stolen Mount Shocker from Aqua reveals where the rest of TNC are. No retaliation here from the Phoenix Army. Gentlemen, do you see this? Zyda, James Banks on this Harley has the Frost Retribution. So this is what they call the Battle Mage Harley. It's a Harley that's expecting to fight full frontal, because his first build was concentrated energy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Look, see?
I think you realize that because of the high loss would be up and go. Wait.
Oh, Divine Judgment on a 3-mar. 3-mar looking to answer with an Abyssum Strike, holding on to it. And I guess the thought of retaliation alone from TNC is enough to stop AP Bren.
That just wasn't enough damage coming out from James Banks, even though this is a battle mage. So with that being said, TNC Pro Team, without James Banks inside, they're going to be taking this turtle, but 3-mar surrounded.
Go again. It's 3 members of AP Bren on 3-mar. Cycle does secure 3-mar, forcing the use of a flicker and a location in up top. How about it? AP Bren, it's their turn. That's Nova getting choked up and taken down. Kill served up to Zyda, and they will take this tier 1 up top.
Yeah, cross-map trades. AP Bren, okay, so that people don't think I'm just dogging on them for this entire game, it's that they made the right call there. They knew that maybe they just wouldn't be able to fight out the turtle healthily enough, so they go for the cross-map trade. At the same time, Nova was able to provide space for Shizo to not go down. AP Bren got kills onto 3-mar the bot.
Chaknu here, face full of deadly magics. Revitalize will save him alongside the glorious pathway just for good measure.
Oh my goodness, I thought the Mamba was done for, but the antidote was just available for TNC's Roamer to stay alive.
It's Mamba, Divine Judgment on a 3-mar. He won't survive this time around. Nova gets one.
I think there's been a total of 2 or 3 times where 3-mar is the main victim of that Divine Judgment.
Yeah, and he has to be. They know that this Diroth needs to get checked quick, and for Chapman, my only reaction to that is, what the heal?
I'd give that an 8 out of 10. That's pretty good.
We've lost one Mamba too much, all right, so he doesn't want to go. Benny Cutie and James Banks gonna duel. That's what you get with a Battle Mage Harley. His next build is gonna be a Brute Force Breastplate.
Oh my god, is this James Banks or Alina the Battle Angel? My goodness. This is just AP Bren now sticking to their scaling.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I like Christoph Waltz.
It feels like Benny Cutie also just accepted his fate there. He didn't want to try and commit the flicker, the BMI out. He's just like, yeah, I go down.
Crossing paths here.
Dude, that's an intersection.
In Chaknu, I guess it neutralized it. They kind of canceled each other out.
Yeah, they were thinking of just
BFB.
going at it again. James Banks already building up the Brute Force Breastplate.
Oh,
but
man.
AP Bren is holding on to a 1.2k gold lead. TNC not letting up as Chaknu, Lancy also controlling the river, but 5 Bs are here.
Final turtle, Divine Judgment on a 3-mar. 3-mar takes it lovingly into AP Bren's arms, and Chaknu here still alive. Gets taken down by KLDJ. Now KLDJ does get to walk away. Nova put down a third of his health. James Banks holding out. Yeah, blazing the way. Benny Cutie gets a face full of deadly magic. Aqua takes the turtle. Aqua finds Benny. And now 3 remaining members of TNC trying to get him out of there. Lancey gets taken down. Zyda follows through. 3-mar flickers back out. AP Bren have trampled through TNC.
Nova and Aqua, this is what I've been looking from you guys. Take the initiative, start things off. Don't allow TNC and any of your opponents to get into position. Just go for it. And they have been going for it, sequence after sequence, alongside that Battle Mage Harley, who, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
This is a more mobile, more annoying Cyclops spell vamp style. The Cyclops that we see with the Queen's Wings in our ranked games. This is a deadlier version of that. And it looks like TNC are not quite ready for it. 3-mar has taken a lot of death. Zyda landed a great Mountain Shocker there, but you could see the raw sustain that they have. Not even just the Harley, but of course Shizo as well, being able to survive through his own fighter emblem, just free hitting, even though he was under a lot of abilities. Really good. AP Bren are drawing out fights, and TNC are trying to recover.
Remember, I don't like the words you're saying. I don't like hearing the words ranked games, Cyclops, and Deadlier. I don't like it.
We're probably going to see a lot of these now. But hey, does this mean that all Cyclops users can use the Harley too? Is that something that can point out? Or
Okay,
maybe...
you're pushing it.
Okay.
I suggest please stick with the Cyclops.
The Cyclops.
Don't need to use the Harley.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to the Yoda users. You can stick with the Cyclops for now.
Oh!
Because AP Bren's going to be sticking with his middle lane turret, but they will not be able to take it down. But it was just a distraction for the reality that's happening up top. Shizu is going to be able to take it down. Now developing to a 5k gold lead. Lancey just waltzing in the middle, unscathed by AP Bren. They're just disciplined here.
Yeah, Divine Glaive already too for James Banks. AP Bren, have they finally found their Suyo, their new Suyo for James Banks after all these weeks?
It's been their third choice. Again, you usually go Baksha first.
Yeah.
And then Harley if you're AP Bren, but Baksha was banned out, so I guess.
Yeah.
And it's good, it fits James Banks' profile. It's like, you know, mechanically demanding, has good damage output, can trade if ever, you know, he has to duel for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's the key idea there. It's him being able to trade. It's not so easy to take this Harley down compared to the Harley that runs straight for the Genius Wand and then goes for raw damage. This Harley that wants to fight longer is good for him.
They get the DJ on a Chakno. Glorious pathway, stopped by Aquas, and now KLVJ looking to put those Ionic Egg stacks. They find him with a Mount Shocker, forcing the flicker out. Look at the back line, Lancey with the Crimson Beacon back, and the turtle of the Life of the Lord is under AP Bren's control. James Banks secures. Aqua has 3 more on him, 3 more. A face full of deadly magics.
Oh!
Yeah, very cutie with a forward flicker. Blazing the way.
Right behind!
Shizu, like an assassin in the back line, takes out Lancey. James Banks takes out Chakno, and Shizu takes out 3 more. Benny Cutie falls. It's just Zaida left.
The silent kid ain't that quiet anymore. I kept looking for Shizu. Yeah, that's probably the same noise that he made when he decided to go in, pick off Lancey, and then when he finally got to survive that little duel that he had with 3mar, that is the Shizu that I wanted.
Oh my goodness, the bold positioning coming out from the silent kid. He was there, he was completely surrounded, but he knew he had the damage. So with that being said, the inhibitor has already been taken down. They might not be using this Lord anymore because they got what they wanted anyway. So it's AP Bren just continuously building up Shizu. The bees are developing confidence right in front of our eyes.
That angle was criminal. There's no carries of no business being that late in and coming in from there. The backline had no chance.
And Leo, don't get me wrong, we saw this yesterday. There was a sandwich play that a carry was also part of that fight, but it did not work out.
Did not work.
But for AP Bren, Shizu, some players were at least half HP, and I think that's the reason why it was able to work out.
Okay, you know what? The genius of this draft is now making sense because of the Battle Mage Harley.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
able to hold somewhat of a semi-front line because of the Harley was able to stand down. And then KLVJ, who's basically just a big meat shield. And then that's how Shizu was like, okay, let me move over here and kill y'all.
I will revisit that Uranus pickup and why, again, the same question I had at the end of the draft. Why the YSS when you see the Uranus? Because it's not just in the laning phase, in the early jungling patterns of you farming up. It's also in team fights. When there is someone on the other side of the team who could just show up in front of a Yi Sun-shin and literally say, I don't care about you, dog.
Yeah, it's a soft counter to his passive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're not taking the YSS out right away, but you're taking him out essentially. So why the YSS against the Uranus?
Dude, just KLVJ's role is to piss off Zaida all the time. I mean, 2-2-0. Even though the information was, of course, given due to the Mountain Shocker, there's not much for TNC to do here. So, again, AP Bren just continuously hiding, freezing down the waves for TNC to just starve and wait for the next major objective to spawn.
Yeah, if this was any other pick in the jungle for TNC, this Uranus would look even more dog water if there was more burst. Zaida, still gets his orange buff.
Okay.
But now that it's YSS, and because, well, also credit the smart rotations by AP Bren to deliver as many deaths as they could to 3mar, negating what the D-Roth could potentially do to Uranus, then they were able to set up KLVJ. So instead of KLVJ setting up for the team, it's AP Bren who set up for the Uranus.
Now they're going to have to make a choice here. TNC will just have to leave this one up to the Bees and protect the rest of the waves that are about to enter their base. AP Bren just dominant 13 minutes into this game.
Yeah, but for about 5 minutes now, TNC had nothing on AP Bren.
Yeah, 3,000 gold lead between Shizu and Benny QT. It's only up to a Trinity for Benny. A sad little dagger. Well, there's already a win in nature for this carry, and I think Shizu's going to be going for the Malefic Gun last. Will make him even more difficult to take down. TNC's conditions were to win this early to mid.
Oh.
They won a bit early.
Nova with the conceal and the flicker, the Divine Judgment. 3 more flickers out of harm's way. Chaknu with the Glorious Pathway, putting it over to the other side. And she's about to take down Lancy. Barely lives. Chaknu catches the Deadly Magic. Lord is on the base. Top lane is where he marches through. Mid lane inhibitor barely standing. TNC with a successful defense.
And you know what? They were able to protect both.
Yep.
And that was the idea for AB Bren. It's for them to take it down, but the Glorious Pathway coming out from the Mamba, reaching both ends of the floor.
That's elite ball knowledge right there.
Yep.
Yeah, it was handled really well. It could have been a full Brazilian delivered by AP Bren, but they at least kept 2 towers. So they still have just a bit more room to work with, especially with managing their long lane away from the next Lord. But they will pull the trigger on trying to get a pick off. But I think they won't be able to go for like a full fight. The deficit is way too huge that even if TNC, let's say, they get the start where they want, where 2 dudes from the side of AP Bren are gone, at the end of the day, if those 2 dudes aren't James Banks and Shizu, AP Bren can still fight.
Yeah, it's very difficult for them to actually bounce back into this game just because of how fed Shizu was right from the start due to the team fight that they were able to pull off at the river. So TNC, they might be breathing, but they're still hungry for a few more waves, maybe even some jungle objectives. There's not much that they could do, but they're going to be pulling off something here. A bold move as they are trying to figure out where the rest of the members are. But that conceal is going to be going to waste.
That's a fake out. TNC are just buying time. They know that in about a minute there's a Lord, and they're going to come to a crossroads. Do we contest this Lord, or do we just hunker down? Because I'll be honest with y'all, their wave clear is not very good.
Farm-heavy main damage dealers and the YSS and Claude. TNC needed their D-Roth, Jushin and High Loss to carry, but they couldn't, which is why we find ourselves here. Which is why we see these... Wait, Nova?
Nova coming in from the west and gets that flicker to like Lancy torn off the map just like that.
That was just one... But it dealt so much damage. Lancy immediately taken out just like a bubble being bursted.
Nova, that was beautiful. AP Bren, that was gorgeous. And they're doing great.
Aqua with a stolen Glorious Pathway, stopping TNC from even thinking of defending that mid lane inhibitor. It falls. AP Bren moves forward to the Lord.
Now, I beg the question, where has this AP Bren squad, where has this version been over the last 3 weeks? The Bees are just trimming down the defenses of TNC Pro Team. They have nothing but a single inhibitor down bot. And for TNC, it's back to quarantine, and for AP Bren, they're free to do whatever the hell they want.
The call is most likely endable for this next Lord. 10,000 gold lead, 16 minutes in, still not fully item locked for the Claude. Benny QT needed to go for the Malefic Gun, but then that should be an easy dive. If it's not the Kaiju that's gonna pull out the Claude, it's gonna be, whoa, they're gonna try! Oh!
Get that conceal, space escape by James Banks, neutralizing that whole sequence.
Yeah, that was too easy to evade for a man with a million moves. And now Zyda's gonna have to back away because now it's just 4v5.
And TNC have no key ults right now. Crimson Beacon from Lancy. Half of TNC are at about the half health. They pop that immortality onto the Mamba. Chaknu falls. Glorious Pathway. Hold down the line here for TNC. And Benny QT coming in with the Blazing Duet. Lancy almost down. Lancy gets taken out by James Banks. And I believe that's all she wrote. AP Bren take game 1.